When the war in Ukraine began, we have this designer, her name is Digital Mary, she's from Ukraine. She couldn't leave the country because her husband had to go to war and she refused to live without him. And she's one of our designers, and she started publishing these designs that look like a party girls, like short skirts, big hair, like earrings like mine right now. And I was like, why? And she said, this is my way to escape the realities. She said she's doing from a bomb shelter. She's creating these designs while she's in a bomb shelter. My first career was in TV.
Hello, my name is Leila.
I was a TV host since I was 15. This is the first time it feels like, every day I interact with really nice, mission-driven people. 40% clothes that people buy in the Western countries are never worn. They're just being trashed and dumped. Most people think that their digital identity prevails over their physical one, and overall people communicate every day 2 times more online than offline.
Thank you for joining us, Leila. So I guess to better get acquainted and give our viewers a sense of your background and what experiences pushed you into fashion in general, digital and physical fashion.
Well, first, digital fashion looks amazing combined with physical one, as you can see with my earrings that are completely digital. It definitely adds a little touch to your look and a spark.
Cool.
While you don't have to wear heavy earrings on your ears, which can be uncomfortable. So I guess fashion, desire to dress up was always part of my life since I was a little girl. My first career was in TV. I was a TV host since I was 15.
Hello, my name is Leila and I will host Junior Eurovision 2010.
And I made this choice when I was a little girl. Why? Because when I was watching TV shows, I saw that ladies on TV always wear beautiful dresses. And I thought that if I find my way on television, I'll also have access to beautiful dresses. So I did it. And I worked with a lot of designers and I had a lot of beautiful dresses. And then I started working with orphan girls in my home country, Belarus, where I started this organization called Pretty Powerful, where we would dress orphan girls who graduate for their prom night, and we would give them beautiful jewelry, shoes, do photo shoot for them, and do this confidence boost, because apparently no one buys clothes for the prom night for the orphans. So I believe that, this first step into adult life should be with confidence, and women should look very beautiful. So I would say fashion was always part of my life, one way or another. And during COVID, I met my amazing co-founder, Regina. She's a professional designer by training, and I believe she's one of the best digital fashion designers in the world, definitely top 5. And I saw her photos while I was in LA, feeling myself like I was in prison because, you couldn't go out, you couldn't dress up, everything was closed. And during that time, I asked Regina to dress my photo just for fun and see how it makes me feel. And apparently it felt amazing. The moment I posted it on social media, I had this excitement from comments and likes, and I realized that it doesn't really matter whether just the design is real or digital. And since that, I just fell into this rabbit hole of research on sustainability of fashion, on technical solutions that we have today. And it's just like a whole massive world to explore.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And I think it's really powerful how you helped bring that sense of beauty and, that feeling of just when a girl gets to dress up and put that big gown on, and it's a different feeling. It's like being able to put a suit on and go out and feel like Men in Black or like a boss. It's a different feeling. And it's amazing that you help people that probably wouldn't have that feeling to have that. It's amazing.
Absolutely, yes. It's about our identities, and fashion's always been one of the most powerful tools to express ourselves.
Yeah, 100%.
And communicate something to the world. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I also like how you said, and I think it kind of relates to my next point, is I believe that your digital identity is more important than your physical identity, right? So if that's the case and we interact with more people on a virtual digital basis, then how important are digital wearables and these, fashion in a more virtual society? I see you're wearing digital earrings that you could barely tell that they're digital, but it's cool.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, data tells us that today in America, most people think that their digital identity prevails over their physical one, and overall people communicate every day 2 times more online than offline.
Yeah.
So I guess that's everything we need. And if we talk to kids, they would definitely ask for some Roblox wearable or some Roblox Lex asset more as their
Mhm.
birthday gift. Then they would ask for like a simple t-shirt or I don't know, pens. Definitely digital assets excite people more, especially we talk about younger generations.
Yeah.
Um, I can explain it very easily. In digital space, we're not bound by the laws of physics, so you can kind of go beyond your body. And I know that a lot of people use Artisant platform as for escapism. They pretty much want to escape their daily lives and have this
Mhm.
minute where they can be someone else, look differently, immerse themselves in a different world. So definitely fashion and digital assets help a lot with it.
Amazing. And I see that you mentioned your company, and you're the founder of Artisant, which is, a company that's focused on creating unique digital wearables and then bridging that into this new virtual environment, right? So what are your goals for Artisant, and what plans do you have to push that forward as Web3 and as digital fashion expands?
Yeah, so I'm a co-founder. I already mentioned Regina.
Yeah.
She actually started the company. I joined it a bit later. She's the OG in the industry. I mean,
Nice.
she's one of the earliest designers. So when I found her, I just like fell in love with her style design, and I totally believe that together, our expertise combined, we can build something great.
Mhm.
And this is what we're doing right now. We
Well,
put together a very neat team. Yeah. Our leadership is also amazing. Working with Regina side by side is like one of the most fun and exciting things I've ever done. Even if we work for like 15 hours a day, it doesn't feel like work. Okay, sometimes it does. I'll be honest, but it's still fun. So with Artisan, we realized something very interesting last year. You know, like this whole excitement of NFTs and digital assets, especially if you live in big cities, it feels like everyone owns some kind of NFT, belongs to some kind of community. But the reality is, if you step outside of like trending neighborhoods in New York or Wynwood or Miami, like Wynwood, you would realize that most people in the world never heard about NFTs. They definitely don't have a wallet. They don't know how to use it. And these are our users, our potential users. So the goal for our company was to find a way to reach these users and to communicate to them. And instead of just imposing this idea and the concept of crypto, Web3, etc., pave the way for them to into the world of Web3. So we took a few steps back and started the platform that allows first experiences for the users on the Web2 platform where you don't need a wallet. You just need to register with your email or social media. And you can start
Mhm.
interacting with digital fashion and get the most basic utilities through this experience. And instantly we started getting like thousands of new users. That was like the first time we experienced that growth with zero marketing or PR, no investments at all. And this is where we realized that we found a solution where we cannot just impose the vision of NFT and crypto on people, because on the curve of, bell curve of adoption, we're still on this like flat left part where like only a few early adopters believe in it and know it and definitely use it. So that this few steps back served us well. Right now, we're about to launch our minting. Just in a couple of weeks, we're going to launch our first minting system where people will be allowed to mint their free assets that they've been collecting, to mint them on blockchain and start trading them. They will come in different rarities, so they will have different value. But that's been like a journey of 4 months that we walked with our users towards this goal. And right now, I think we have 15,000 wallets registered. And so 15,000
Wow.
people on our platform. Yeah, and we don't push people to do that, but 15,000 people want to mint and they want to trade their assets, which means we're moving in the right direction.
Yeah, that's amazing. It's important that you mentioned, just trying to bring it to the masses. The technology has too many layers of friction, right? That are
Yeah,
allowing normal people that aren't very tech savvy, haven't kind of been interacting with Web3 protocols. It helps them if they can sign up through email, or these more frictionless services, and ways that you're helping them become a part of your community. 15,000 people
totally.
registered to get into and understand and learn actually what an NFT is, but you've onboarded them without even having to introduce the technology, right? And
Yeah, I mean, in early January, we had like 3,000 users on Discord. Right now, we're at 45,000. That's quite insane.
wow, wow, amazing!
Yeah, yeah,
Congrats! I'm excited for the men.
thanks. Yeah, me too. All the early users of Artisan will be rewarded later because we add a lot of gamification integrations where you can earn in-game currency that may potentially pretty soon turn into a token. So don't miss it. Yeah, like you brought up a great point. Right now, things are so complicated. And I believe this is like, in there was this amazing video. I recently saw it in 1994. There was like a morning show and the hosts were talking about
The internet,
um, what is internet anyway, right? And they're like, it's like this weird thing, you go there,
right?
but it does not exist.
That little mark with the A and then the ring around it.
At.
See, that's what I said. Katie said she thought it was about.
So I feel like we're at this exact stage. Back in the day, people had to go to the library to have like a PC to connect to internet. And it was like this router was making this weird signal sounds while it was connecting. So we're approximately at the same stage, like we connect our wallet every time we need to use crypto, and then we need to switch from one network to another based on the platforms. Like we need to connect it to our bank, verify transactions. It's quite complicated. So I believe like we are moving to this, smoother user experience where people will have to actually click just one button, the same way as we do right now when we register on other platforms, just like register with your email. So while we're moving towards it, we definitely will allow people to interact with our assets without demanding them through going through this like quite complicated process for now. And we will continue educating them because this is also very important, just like sharing information on how to do things and why to do things.
Definitely, definitely. And it's funny that you mentioned that Bill Gates. So I think it was Bill Gates, and I don't remember who was interviewing him, but they asked Bill Gates about the internet. He was creating the internet, and he was kind of like snickering at the fact like nobody understands the capabilities of it yet, but he does. And then they did a side by side with Paris Hilton talking to Jimmy Kimmel about NFTs, and Jimmy Kimmel is asking Paris Hilton all these questions like, "What is it? I can just copy and paste it. I could do this and that." And Paris Hilton's explaining it because she knows. She was an early adopter doing things in the fashion industry as well. So it's there's layers of friction that need to be shed off, like you said.
Totally, yes, and we need to be patient.
Yeah. And while we're on the topic of NFT, so like, how would you describe this merger of digital ownership and like physical exclusivity? We see big companies, Web2 companies like Nike, Adidas, Puma, all of these companies that are jumping into the digital fashion realm, the so-called metaverse. So like they're trying to bridge the verification of NFTs and how NFTs, verify asset ownership, and then kind of bridge that into physical exclusivity in terms of, hey, you own this NFT, then you get an exclusive item physically that can only be redeemed or claimed by the verified NFT owner. Like these are ways that are going to assist people in the future of seeing like physical rarity, physical exclusivity, but on the blockchain, so that you don't have to see somebody in real life to know that, hey, this person's got a freaking pair of shoes or a dress or something that nobody in the world has because they have that NFT and can claim it.
Totally, yeah. So this is great application. I think for at the moment, the truest player from Web2 that transferred into Web3 is Nike, because of their acquisition of Artifact and their faith in the space was paid off. I believe Artifact last year made $185 million to Nike, becoming the second most profitable department in the company after Jordans, but no one can beat Jordans. So they like believed in this space big time. As for many companies, I feel like most of them are still taking it as a marketing gimmick, as the way to test waters and see what is this NFT thing is about. We sometimes partner with big brands, and we always do happily and gladly because we understand that we also have this like a job of ambassadors, introducing big brands to the space, and we need these big brands because they have millions of followers on social media, they have the reach, they have the budgets, and we definitely want to leverage it and use it for the benefit of the community, for the benefit of faster adaptation of this amazing technology, and for for me personally, for making fashion more sustainable, of course, that's one of my main drivers to be in this industry. Yeah, I mean, there's so many different applications. One of the greatest, I feel like in fashion, there's this whole huge problem of counterfeits when, there are fake bags and fake shoes and everything. And it's actually the market is almost as big as the real, the real
Wow.
designer branded bags. Yes. Like China, Turkey, so many countries produce like millions of them and you never tell the difference. They're that good.
Yeah.
So all these big companies lose this money, but the point is like it's almost impossible to fight all these markets, black markets. So I feel like with NFT integration and chip integration and the concept of digital twin, when like verification of the item can come through NFT that is built into the physical asset, is the best way to do it, because this way you can literally track where this item comes from, and it's impossible to reprogram it, erase it. It's always and forever on the blockchain. So for me, that's like one of the best applications that I think luxury brands specifically will be adopting soon.
Definitely. There are in clothing, in apparel, in shoes. There's fakes that China makes fakes of everything that are very, very, very. They're undetectable for most people. And the
Yeah,
interesting thing is StockX, one of the biggest shoe and clothing distributors in the world. They had to change their platform from saying authentic to verified. So because they couldn't verify the authenticity because the fakes were getting so compelling, that now they had to change it to,
exactly.
oh yeah, just verified. You guys, it's not, I don't know if it's authentic, but it's verified that this is a shoe.
Yeah, I have a couple of designer bags from like that I bought on secondary market, and I'm not even sure if they're real. It's just like impossible to verify it, I think.
How would you,
So NFT,
honestly? Like,
yeah, bags have numbers, unique numbers, but like, what am I supposed to do? Call the factory and ask that, did you
yeah,
produce this bag? Of course, I'm not going to do that.
yeah, but if you could just scan it or type in that hash or that code on the blockchain, I guess if they're backed one to one with NFTs, I guess that would be a way of verifying authenticity if the barcode matched the hash for the NFT.
This or yeah, I mean, Artifact did this hoodies with a chip, NFC chip. We also played
Yeah,
with technology of NFC chips and Halo chips. 90cc G Money's drop is an amazing example of how you can use and you can add pops to it, and you can add like access to all kinds of experiences through owning this kind of clothing.
yeah.
So I feel like, younger generations appreciate the experiences more than anything. So this
Mhm.
layer, the access to experience, is another way to add NFT to it and unite people in communities and allow them to connect based on their interest and love for certain brands.
Yeah. Yeah, and you mentioned G Money. G Money came out with a clothing brand, a shirt that had an NFC chip, like you mentioned, and
Yeah,
it's in inside of the clothing so that people just rub it with their phone. I think they rub it with their
yeah.
phone, and then
there
it'll
are some
pop up
there are some
with all
jokes
of the.
about it.
I
Yeah,
know,
so
I know.
thankfully for the next drop, he's putting his chip right here, I think, to make
Probably
people,
better. I think they were
rub
rubbing
it.
each other's bellies, right? It was right on the stomach, so they were just like rubbing their phone on people's
Yeah.
stomach.
Yeah. So it's going to be the user experience is improved. But
Definitely.
overall, he's doing an amazing job in terms of the quality of the merch. The t-shirts have amazing quality in terms of like the whole like the utilities that he provides for his holders.
Yeah. And in terms of like physical items being interoperable with like AR, like augmented reality, and being able to like take a picture of shoes, and if they're digitally augmented, then when you're taking a picture, they like will fly off of the body or do something crazy or light up or shoot. It's endless
Good.
imaginations once you put something through a lens, through a digital sense. That's why digital fashion is going to blow up, and it's only inevitable because they're already hosting fashion shows in the metaverse, and we'll talk about that in a second. But yeah,
Yeah. So I mean, for us, we have a great proof of concept because of the gaming industry. Games make money through skins. Last year, I believe games make $100 billion on selling skins. That's quite a big market. And also, all these big companies like Morgan Stanley, JPEG Morgan, to name a few, publish reports saying that digital fashion can double annual revenue for fashion in the next 10 years, which is also almost unbelievable. Yes. So clearly, yes, this market has a lot of utility. We have like a lot of ways to apply digital fashion to existing brands. And I also think like, traditional fashion is a variegated industry. It's really hard to get in. You have to know someone, you have to live in a big city, you have to have certain education, you have to have certain amount of money. It's pretty hard for most people. And digital fashion only requires you to have a laptop and to have internet connection. One of the touching stories that I already told a few times on different platforms is like when the war in Ukraine began, we have this designer, her name is Digital Mary, she's from Ukraine. She couldn't leave the country because her husband had to go to war and she refused to live without him. And she's one of our designers, and she started publishing these designs that look like a party girls, like short skirts, big hair, like earrings like mine right now. And I was like, why? And she said, this is my way to escape the realities. She said she's doing from a bomb shelter. She's creating these designs while she's in a bomb shelter, while like someone throwing bombs at her. So for designers, that's like one of the stories how they can find an outlet and express themselves, which won't be possible in any other way, and we have designers that come from like more conservative Muslim countries, but they wouldn't also be allowed to create this kind of clothes, but they want to. Yeah, so this is an amazing outlet for designers. Yeah, we do a lot of work with our designers and try to stay in touch and talk to them and build personal relationships. And I see so many beautiful young voices coming up. So while I really appreciate the opportunity to partner with big brands, I also believe that the disruption of the industry will happen through these small designers that, create skins for immersive worlds right now.
Wow. And that's amazing. And I hadn't even thought of it like that. Just think about a designer in a country like Ukraine, something happens, all of the clothing that they had created is gone if a bomb hits or a fire happens or something, and in different cultures, in Arab cultures, like you were saying, in the Middle East, a lot of them aren't able to really express themselves in a fashion sense. So if you can do so in a virtual sense, you can actually, we're boundless by our creativity in a virtual sense. So there's no limitation on how funky or eccentric you can be.
Yeah. And it's almost impossible to track you in Web3. Your identity is protected. That's another
Yeah.
beautiful part of a lot of people. I mean, I guess when we live in the States or other progressive countries, it doesn't matter. Although, it matters more and more these days with all the data breaches. But especially for people who come from more conservative countries where you can be literally killed or put in prison for freedom of expression, that means a lot. And we already can see it. And that's why we're so eager to turn Artisant into big success, because it helps a lot of people to be free and creatively limitless. Yeah.
Definitely. People forget about the privilege and the opportunity we have in the U.S. for freedom of expression. Like across the world, Lebanon, in the Middle East, and across the world, all people don't get these privileges. People aren't allowed to express themselves as they want. From a journalistic standpoint, social media, there's so many barriers for them to enhance themselves or express themselves. So it's like you have to realize that with everybody being more and more the Internet of Things, but being attracted to the internet using technology, people are just going to be expressing themselves in so many different ways. And think about how many avatars there will actually be digitally. You're going to have to be pretty unique if you actually want to be unique in this world of billions of avatars, right?
Totally. Yeah. And it's quite amazing and mesmerizing. I love going into immersive worlds and just like watching people, the way they express themselves. And I can see that this trend spreads so fast. Like, think about it, we didn't have this whole immersive world just a few years ago, and now like millions of people go there, which means there is like a huge demand. And I'm really curious to see where it's all going with the adaptation of VR glasses, because it's still early stage, and of course AR glasses. That's going to be the next big disruptive tech that's going to change digital fashion and a lot of other industries for good.
Mm-hmm. And let's elaborate on that. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Continue. Sorry.
No, it's okay. Yeah, so there are like a lot of companies that try to release them. I spoke to some people from Apple, and there are still some pretty big issues with the hardware. So there are like overheating issues, and the device is still quite big and heavy, so you cannot like wear it on daily basis all day long. And it could take up to 10 years to actually fix it. But if you look at a timeline, I'm sure it will be done faster, because now as tech develops, all the processes accelerate. So it may be not 10, maybe 7, maybe 5 years even, but still quite some time. But until then, we have so many things to do, like prepare the audience, communicate the ideas, educate them, onboard people into Web3. So I think like we're just the perfect timeline for this new disruptive devices as VR and AR glasses that we'll be able to use every day.
Yeah, definitely. And like, to elaborate on that, as many big companies, I feel like Fortnite, created a very example-based metaverse of people who had digital fashion, skins, the whole 9 yards. So as Fortnite, Decentraland, Sandbox, they were holding, like Fortnite hosted the Travis Scott, like a virtual event and entertainment. So as these digital environments, immersive worlds becoming created by these big brands, how do you see entertainment shifting into that realm? And then obviously fashion goes in with that, but how do you see entertainment and events playing out?
Well, I mean, more and more events will have some kind of satellite and side events in the digital world. I don't think that physical events will disappear. There is no way. I mean, we need to have Super Bowl and things like that. Yeah, but the thing is, like, people can buy tickets and have VR access to the event through the technical tools very soon. They can have experience of interacting with the avatar of their favorite singer and dancing with him or her on digital stage. And it will feel as real, because I already had some experiences in Metaverse, and I have to tell you, when you create your avatar and you go there, especially if you wear a VR set, doesn't make much difference if it's real or not. So I really think it will add on a layer. And I know that companies, like we already worked with Universal Music, their singers are very eager to experience the space and do some kind of activation in Metaverse. I know that like United Talent Agencies are actively exploring the space as well. We actually had a call with them. So I really think like more and more companies that make decisions in the space will join, of course.
Yeah, no, definitely.
You brought up the Metaverse Fashion Week. Of course, I think that's like one of the coolest events, and talking about like how big brands adopt this technology. There will be so many big brands this year presenting their digital collections in the space. Big media platforms join as well. We are partnering on a little thing with Vogue Singapore. We're presenting our capsule collection that people will be able to buy. To be super accessible in terms of price. We're creating really accessories that people can wear in Decentraland and like use them with their existing outfits. Yeah, they're gonna look so cool, and the price will be like from like $1 to $5 Matic, which is like $5 per piece. We just want people to have them and to play with them and express themselves in the metaverse. Yeah, but like aside from us, there will be like Dundas, Dolce & Gabbana, Estee Lauder, and so many big brands. Just like cannot list all of them, but like the majority of brands that we know, luxury from luxury to mass market, will be doing something at this event. So I definitely highly encourage everyone who's like curious about digital fashion, go and check out this space, because there will be a lot of great brands, a lot of great activations, and just like a good opportunity to kind of like see and experience it. Oh, and in Spatial, we're doing another event with Clonex avatars, where we are going to present the collection of Red Dow and Clonex avatars are going to model it. Red Dow is one of the most influential DAOs in digital fashion. I would say the most influential one. They are our early supporters, and they help a lot also in terms of just like advising us, giving us feedback. And I would say they put digital fashion on the map when was it? Yeah, I think it was September 21 when they bought Dolce & Gabbana drop, including $3.8 million Dolce & Gabbana crown as NFT.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So since then, this crown and their other pretty expensive assets were sitting in their wallet. They never showed it. And this year we decided to show to the world during Metaverse Fashion Week in our spatial space. So I think it's going to be epic. All their designs, as I mentioned, will be worn on CloneX avatars, because why not? It's all about mixing communities and
Yeah.
adding utilities. And CloneX avatars look so good.
Yeah.
So we definitely want to use them.
Oh, that's
So that's
awesome.
another great event to check out.
Yeah, yeah. Another Fashion Week that's coming up. Is it this week or next week?
I think it's in 2 weeks. It's March 28th to March 31st.
Gotcha. And I wanted to, so like, I wanted to kind of help people wrap their head around shopping in the future, and like what the future of shopping is and what limitations there are today, and how digital wearables and digital fashion can help bridge that, like VR, AR. Like if somebody went to the mall, you're bound by the amount of stores and products you can try on, right? And you don't know if it's going to look good on you, how it fits. Every size fits different. So now when you have an avatar, when you have a digital identity, a digital replica of yourself that has correct measurements and can actually understand how a product will fit, then when these digital merchandises and apparel start coming out, and you can just boom, walk through a mall, click a store, go walk through, click the product, try it on yourself, see how it fits, and then instant e-commerce you could buy right there if you wanted. Like that's the future of shopping and a lot of normal things that take place in real life, but won't always.
Absolutely. Just brought up a great point. I also think I like the concept of pre-orders when you have to wait for the things you buy. Because in the Western world, there is this huge problem of overconsumption. We're very impatient, and sometimes we're just like, I don't feel good today. I feel down. I don't feel pretty, so I'm going to buy myself new shoes or something else. And we just like compulsively buy things because it's so easy. Like literally, you can ask Alexa on the spot with a voice command to order something to be delivered same day or tomorrow. It's almost scary, and it leads to 40% of Western closet being unworn. 40% clothes that people buy in the Western countries are never worn. They're just being trashed and dumped in some landfills, and they rot and they poison the soil, and it's just like so sad and tragic and so stupid. So definitely digital fashion allows to reform the whole experience, from allowing you first to interact with clothes in digital realm, which kind of can remove this, the unnecessary desire to buy material goods when it's just like the urge to buy it. You can just play with your avatar, maybe spend some money on it even, but not, waste real resources. So that's an amazing application. Then there is like the very important part of creating real clothes that's called prototyping. It's when you create new design, you need to play with fabrics, textures, buttons, sizes, etc. So right now you can all do all of it in software. Instead of producing real designs just for prototypes that you also trash and also produces a lot of waste, you can do it in digital world. So once again, it helps a lot to ease the work of designers. It decreases the cost of productions, and it also eliminates a lot of waste from the production chain. And of course, as you mentioned, right now, you don't need to go to the mall. You don't need to guess like what size of clothing would fit you in this particular brand. You can literally get a scan of your body. You can create your avatar that like looks exactly like you. We are practicing this tool on our platform where you can take your photo and the avatar will look exactly like you. And you can do the same with your body, and you can just try on this clothes on your avatar and see how they look like. You can also do it in augmented reality. Right now there are great projects like 010 app, for example, that allows you to do it. Same as like Snapchat lens, as I'm using right now, you can do the same in 010 app. We also sometimes do AR lenses for our users where you can just see how you look like in this clothes, see how you feel like. And I would say every month this technology gets better and it tracks your body better, so it looks more and more real.
Yeah. What was I going to say? Oh, I wanted to tell you a funny stat that I saw on Gary Vee's page. Gary Vee said that $14 billion in consumer products were purchased last year while people were drunk. So $14 billion of consumers spending money while they're drunk in the U.S. And this is and you were mentioning how Westerners are very wasteful, like restaurants, just the entire culture is extremely wasteful because they're extremely spoiled. That's not how it is across the world. People are more sustainable. It's crazy how
totally
American people this.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't make us happy. You know, I mean, in Western world, the whole like capitalistic system says like, if you do this surgery, if you're like a little bit more beautiful, you'd feel better. If you buy this item, you know, women would love you more. Or they say, especially to women, they say like, oh, you have to have this to be more attractive. This is like straight on manipulations. But the secret is it doesn't make you feel better. It's just instant gratification. In the moment, may feel good, but in a second you go back to your issues, because like material things cannot heal your emotional ones. So definitely there's like the whole big reality that we need to face, and that's like another reason why digital assets can help us, you know, express ourselves in a more holistic way while also dealing with our issues and talking about like, you know, developing healthier emotional habits. I'm a big fan of Krista Kim. If you ever can bring her on your podcast, definitely do. She's one of the brightest people in Web3 industry, I believe. She's doing such an amazing project called Zero XYZ. It's an immersive world, and the whole concept of it is to bring emotional wellness to people, because this new generation of kids, I'm a millennial, that goes after, it's Gen Z. This is the most depressed and the loneliest generation in the history of humankind, despite having access to all these technological solutions, you know, despite having like the easiest, probably the life throughout so many generations. This is the loneliest and most depressed generation. So I like people who try to solve this problem through technology and kind of develop habits of meditation, of healthy consumption through metaverse experiences. And that's part of what we also do in Artisant, partially inspired by Krista King, to be honest, and her philosophy of tech is create this immersive world where you speak the language of digital fashion to express yourself, to feel better, to feel good. And it will inspire you to do healthier choices in your real life, to feel more confident, to feel more beautiful, to limit consumption that maybe you don't need. Yeah. So that's the whole point. And of course, I mean, the benefit of having a community, come on. It's so amazing that right now we have dozens of thousands of people in Discord that interact every day, and they bring up such valid topics. Sometimes they talk about environment or fashion. Sometimes they talk about personal issues. But now they have this platform where they can interact, and all of them are united by the same love and passion of fashion. So that helps them to get along and have these conversations.
It's
I
just
know
honestly
this topic
building,
is so exciting.
yeah, but just
It blows
building
people's minds.
like fostering a global community of people from different walks of life that have different views on fashion, that can provide different perspectives on things. It's like building the community helps build the brand, because the community helps you build the brand, right? So like now, since you actually have the feedback, or you've had the community and built it, now they provide you with feedback and concepts and ideas, and then you kind of just execute on them, and just continue providing value to them by listening to them, and interacting and helping each other interact, which is a beautiful concept of Web3. And a lot of people will come to realize that as digital societies emerge, that these communities, and that buzzword is thrown around a lot, but it's just brand building with your consumer. That's all it is.
No, they tell us what to do. It's not a
Yeah.
joke. Our community tells us what to do. Like customer development is real. It's a nonstop process of like talking to our community, spending time on Discord. It's part of the job. Yeah, and I guess that's the difference. Right now it's all peer to peer. Like we are on the same, although like we're called builders, we create the project, and it's always nice to have this support from the community when they acknowledge it and support you, especially as we go through bear market, because sometimes days are harder. Some days are harder than others. But overall, we're on the same level. We interact one to another. We get feedback from them. We know what features they want. That's why we integrate them in the platform. While I guess in traditional business, there is someone on top, C-suite executive founders, and then everyone is like on the lower level. And they find the ways, the top level finds the ways to post the features and the visions that will bring them more revenue.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a little bit different. Our goal is like, how can we create the product where our early adopters especially can make money through Artisant? How can we create the product where everyone can create the storyline of Artisant and benefit in one way or another, whether you're a designer or just a user? It's
Yeah.
absolutely different concept. And also to this point, somehow, although like I've had many years of like work experience in different fields, this is the first time it feels like, I every day I interact with really nice mission-driven people. Because I feel like people who just like, maybe there are like people, it's not just in my field, who like just trade NFTs really fast, and I don't know, launch some coins that crash and they just like make money fast on it. Probably that also exists, but like overall, people who are here in this industry for a long game, all of them are mission driven. They're so nice, and it's just
Yeah.
like the first time ever I've met so many amazing people that like I made friends within 1 year. I built meaningful relationships, and I just like can't wait for another call to begin, which is also
Yeah.
weird. Even if I had like very tiring week, it still feels good to work in Web3.
Yeah, it's a passion driven culture for sure, and a purposeful culture, because a lot of the people come from different walks of different regions across the world that have different opportunities and different situations. So everybody coming together and providing that feedback kind of helps build a culture that's really supportive, inclusive, and offering financial opportunities in ways that their governments or their boundaries would never offer. So it's a beautiful thing.
Absolutely.
Well, thank
Yeah,
you
yeah,
so
yeah.
much for joining us, Leila. I really appreciated your time, and hopefully our community learns a ton
Yep.
about what this so-called metaverse, immersive digital environments in the future, and how fashion plays a role in that. So thank you very much.
Oh, it's my pleasure. And Mohammed, if possible, feel free to leave my Twitter handle or other
Oh yeah,
social media handle. I'd be happy to stay in touch with anyone who wants to talk to me about digital
100%.
fashion. Thanks for having me.
100%. Thank you for coming.